And we are live for episode
17
of Lowering the Barrier. Today, we've got our worst 5 supplements, or my worst 5 supplements. The 5 supplements that come to mind when people are like, hey, what supplement should I be taking? If they listed these 5, I would be like vigorously shaking my head and saying, no, we need to start over. You need to go listen to episode 16, which was our top 5 supplements.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. It's been a minute.
It has been.
Yeah. It's been 4 weeks since our last episode.
4.
4.
I
Our
knew
last
it'd been
episode,
a minute, but
our last episode was posted April 30th, and this one will be coming out May 28th, which, if math serves, that's like basically exactly 4 weeks.
that is basically exactly 4 weeks. That's true.
Yeah. So do we want to talk about why we took a little hiatus?
Well, now I feel like we have to because that makes it sound like it was something really bad.
Right.
It wasn't.
It wasn't. There's no particular reason.
Life just gets busy sometimes.
Life gets busy. We've been working on a lot of stuff. Yeah. So we have Forward Forever, obviously. We have the A Team, which is my group training program that comes with a 7-day free trial and is less than $1 a day. We are building a software, which we have released the name of. It's called Pivot, and that'll be a coaching software. So coaches will use it, probably mostly fitness and nutrition coaches, but like other like dog trainers or piano teachers, like music teachers of any kind, like they could use it too, and it would drastically help improve client outcomes. So really excited about that. It's just me and a developer who's a buddy of mine, and we've outsourced help as needed, like hiring a designer, and it's just been a lot, and we're so excited for it. But I mean, there are no days off. There is very little time off in terms of hours and even minutes. It's been really just intense lately, honestly, and maybe some emotion is coming through in my voice, or maybe not, but it has been slightly overwhelming.
Yeah.
But also, like, we have, I keep telling Maddie, like, we have this road in front of us, we have this path, and all we have to do is keep walking. And I was telling one of my clients earlier, I had a call with a client, and I said that Maddie and I just keep telling each other, hey, there's only one way one way past this, and it's through it. And so the work that we have in front of us, it's like, I mean, what are we going to do? Not do it? Like, we just have to do it, and we're taking on a lot. But, luckily Maddie is working with me full time now, and we do have the baby coming. She is 33 weeks yesterday at the time of this recording. So July 14th is the due date. So we've got that going on. And then also something that's been occupying a lot of our time is our one-on-one coaching. Well, you're working on it too. Like, you're helping me with it a lot, but you won't be working with clients.
Yeah, I won't be like client facing by any means.
That's a me thing. And that's our one-on-one coaching program. And we're calling it the Change Project. It's the first time I'm announcing it.
I was going to say, I don't know if you've shared the name yet.
I haven't, but I just figured it's the right time because we are getting closer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited. It'll be 12 weeks. And yeah, it's got a lot of education, reflection questions, quizzes, self-audits. It will be utilizing the software that we're building. The software is not, if you're a coach and listening to this, the software is not ready for you yet. It's in its alpha stage right now. And so I will be testing with clients first, and then we will eventually make it public, but that may be a number of months down the road still. But yeah, really excited. There is an early wait list. Just shoot me a DM on Instagram if you're not on it. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you probably follow me closely and are already on that wait list. But if not, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. Ask if you can get on the wait list, the early access list for Pivot. I'd be happy to send you the link for that. Anyway, Clarkson's Farm, media recommendations. We usually do that. We wrapped up season 3, Clarkson's Farm. Phenomenal show. No spoilers, as always. Other than that, what have we been watching or doing anything? Welcome to Wrexham.
Yep, Wrexham.
Yep, that's a show about Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhaney. They co-own a soccer team out in Wales, and they're just trying to make it like rise to the ranks, and they do a really good job of telling the story of the town in addition to the soccer or football club.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. But yeah, other than that, how are you feeling with the pregnancy stuff?
Feeling good.
Yeah,
energy's pretty good. Still moving well. I'm starting to slow down, but we're doing really well. Yeah. I feel like I've lucked out in a lot of ways with different symptoms and everything, but we're doing good.
Nice. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, and then we crashed our car. right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. Like that
was a big one.
There's like a lot of work stuff going on, and then like the baby, and then also we crashed our car. Yeah. We were on our way back from a maternity photo shoot, and there was some really tall grass on the right side of the road, and a deer jumped out. I mean, right in front of us. It's not like it was standing in the road and I wasn't paying attention. I was locked in, and this deer jumped right in front of us, smashed the front end of our car, like up there with the worst damage I've ever seen from a deer.
Yeah.
And that's what the mechanic told me too. He said, "You hit a deer, you look like you hit a moose." And it was a big deer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if it's like just because Teslas are, well designed when it comes to like the crumple effect, but the damage did look.
It looked brutal.
Not great.
Yeah, but we were safe. Baby's safe. Baby got checked and everything. Yep. So we were all good, but we're going to be a month without our car on, best case scenario. So just figuring that out, as we go. And Maddie's mom lent us her car for the time being. And, if she needs it back, we may have to rent a car. We're just not sure on the whole situation yet. So as you can tell, with all the work stuff, with the baby coming, with, trying to set up the nursery, with, it's been intense lately.
Yeah. And sometimes you miss a couple weeks of a podcast.
Yes, because we don't get paid for this.
But we do enjoy it.
We do enjoy it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I actually really look forward to it. It's fun.
It's fun.
For us to just kind of chit chat.
Yeah. And actually, speaking of which, one of the things that we may try to do going forward with these podcast episodes is maybe not try to tackle so much in one specific episode. Mm-hmm. As we go through this, you listener are probably going to realize like, holy shit, they could have done an episode on each one of these supplements and it would have been satisfactory, specifically the collagen section. And I don't want to skip ahead and I don't want you to hate me and be like, oh, you're listing collagen as a worse supplement? What the heck, Alex? Because, well, just stay tuned for that section. If you really can't wait, then skip ahead. We always put timestamps in there. My opinion of that sort of flipped after really digging deep into the research. But I don't want to, spoil it for you. We're still, I'm looking into the future because I have the outline in front of me, but you haven't listened to that part yet. So yeah, so we may try to reduce the, I don't know, like intensity. Yeah. The scope of each episode. Mm-hmm. We may try to do more stuff that doesn't require an overwhelming amount of research on my end.
Yeah. Some more like practical.
Some more practical
application type things to topics.
Yeah. And if it is like more evidence needed, like a lot of these episodes have been, then we may just try to narrow the scope. Like, for example, we want to talk about alcohol, but holy shit, where do you start on that? You could talk about alcohol in terms of muscle growth. You could talk about alcohol's impact on sleep, on fat loss, on, I don't talk about stuff like cancer or anything like that. Like, right. I will present evidence, but I'm not going to like...
Some things are outside of our lane.
Some things are just, they're just outside of my scope. So, we might do like a more narrow approach to alcohol rather than just being like, let's sit down because the prep for this episode alone, the one that we're talking about right now, worst size supplements, I mean, what has it been? 6 to 8 hours?
Yeah.
And that's not including recording time. That's not including editing time.
Right. And it's great. Like, we learn a lot and, there's benefit to that. Yeah. But when you do it week after week.
Right. And just like stuff comes up.
It can get tough.
So thanks for your patience as we, we're only 17 episodes in and we're still trying to figure things out in this episode. But, it was quite a push for everybody, all the listeners who said like, hey, when's the next podcast episode coming? That was like really kind to know that people are like, hey, looking forward to the next episode. Right. It was so cool. Like I was at Chipotle and a guy messaged me. He said, when's the next episode going to be? And I was like, hell yeah, that's sick. Like,
that is really cool.
I didn't realize people enjoyed it that much. So, shout out to you, guy. Before we get into this, always check with your doctor before adding any supplements. Legally, these are not recommendations for supplements you should add to your routine. I don't know if that legally counts, but in the law of Alex Teamy, it does.
Yeah, it feels like the right thing to say.
Feels like I should say that. Yeah. And as always, if you want to support this podcast, please share it on your Instagram story. It'd be a great place. Tag us. Give us a 5-star rating if you haven't already, or thumbs up, or subscribe if you're on YouTube. Do what you got to do. Forward Forever, next cycle registration opens June 16th. And then check out the A-Team if you want a no BS workouts 7-day free trial with a less than $1 a day. All right, common questions that we're going to tackle before we get into the first of the worst 5 supplements. Do I need to take supplements? No. What supplements should I take for weight loss? Calorie deficit. Are supplements safe? Depends on the product and the manufacturer. How do I know if a brand is reputable? They are third-party tested. They'll often have this listed on their website or their product. There's so many supplement brands being published on social media now. How do I know what's necessary versus a gimmick? Assume they are a gimmick. Does higher price mean better supplements or more potency? No. Creatine and caffeine are both very cheap but highly effective. All right. That was a pretty good.
Yeah.
People are going to have to wind that down to like half speed, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of people listen to this podcast in like 1.2. But I had 300 milligrams of caffeine today.
Oh,
so they're going to have to
buzzing.
slow this one down. Yeah. Okay. Worst 5 supplements. We are categorizing these as worst 5 because they are either highly overrated, overpriced, or just straight up dangerous. Like, legitimately, you should not ingest these things. Yet they are still being promoted by relatively reputable companies, which really pisses me off. But I'll save that. Okay.
Yeah.
First up on the worst 5 supplements, greens powders. Oh no. My greens powder. I love it. I know you do, because you don't eat fruits and veggies. And so you think that this green powder will help you out. And I'm not saying it won't necessarily help you out, but it will not replace fruits and veggies. And if you're somebody who's like, oh, but I just like, taking it because maybe it helps me a little bit. Yeah, sure. Let's get into that. All right. So AG1 Athletic Greens, that is probably the most prominent brand.
It's the one we get promoted to buy the most.
Yeah. And so many YouTube ads. And I was so excited to talk about this. I would make an entire episode on greens powders. I'm serious. Just to talk shit on them for 45 to 60 minutes plus, because it is so annoying how much they oversell and overstate the evidence that is actually out there, and they don't talk about the potential benefits. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure you guys have heard me say the dose makes the poison. And what I mean by this is some people will say like, oh, what about the chemicals? First off, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about if they say the chemicals, because air is chemicals, water is chemicals, humans are made of chemicals, their cell phones made of chemicals, everything in the world is made of chemicals. But it's neither here nor there. But some people might be worried about, I don't know, things that fertilizer that is sprayed on, crops, or pesticides that are sprayed on crops, or like that. That's probably the best example of things that people might be, kind of worried about. But the most important phrase to remember is the dose makes the poison. And the amount, and what that means is there is a certain amount that will never be harmful in humans. Mm-hmm. And if you increase that amount, then eventually, it could be hazardous to our health. And so an example of this is water. If we drink too much water, mm-hmm. we will die. We will drown. So, I mean, that's kind of, it's a good example. It's not the best example maybe, but it's a decent example. Anything can be hazardous to our health.
Yeah. So, and also when it comes to that, we're not talking about like a quarter teaspoon versus a half teaspoon. Like, you would have to ingest so much of these
random things, like whatever it is,
whatever these things are, for them to no longer be safe for digestion.
I talked about that on a post, I think last year. It's about time that I repost it, but it was about the Dirty Dozen that the AWG, the EWG Environmental Working Group comes out with. And basically, if you're uninterested in going back and digging for that post, which I wouldn't blame you, it was a long time ago. Basically, like, research has shown us the amount of exposure to specific like pesticides that would cause any human health outcome, negative health outcome in humans, and the limit that organic versus conventional like fruits or veggies are sprayed with on either side, whether you're talking conventional or you're talking organic, is so exceptionally, I cannot put it into words on that post, but mm-hmm. without digging for that post, I just know that there is not going to be a drastic health benefit to buying organic, and it is exponentially more expensive. Mm-hmm. We do not buy organic because it's just not worth the price for us, and mm-hmm. it's not going to be better for us. But anyway, let's keep it on topic with the greens powder. Okay, so why is greens powder bad? 1, it is extremely overpriced. I'm saying it is so insanely overpriced for what you are getting. And we'll talk about the price of it compared to something similar in a second, but it's also potentially dangerous with drug interactions. Mm-hmm. So for example, ashwagandha, this interacts with I don't know how to say this word. Do you want to take a stab at it? Benzodiazepines.
That is how you say that.
Benzodiazepines. Okay. Yeah. Benzos. I think I've heard of that.
Benzos.
What are those? Do you know?
Not off the top of my head.
All right, she's going to search what those are. Ashwagandha also can interact with immunosuppressants, diabetes medications, and antihypertensive drugs. It has dandelion, which interacts with diuretics, diabetic medications, lithium, and some antibiotics. Benzos, what are they?
These are your depressants. So these are like your anxiety. These are your Valiums and Xanax.
Okay.
Your Klonopin.
Yeah.
Those are pretty
common.
Yeah, those are common.
Very common. Yeah. All right, and rhodiola, which interacts with anti-diabetic drugs, antihypertensive drugs, and immunosuppressants. None of these interactions are listed on AG1's website, which I think is the most scummy dog shit behavior when people do not list out things that could have drug interactions. So there are a lot of supplement companies out there that, these supplements are not FDA regulated. And so they can just kind of throw shit out there and make these ridiculous claims. Go pull up the AG1 website for me and let's just look at some of the stuff that's on there. But anyways, the cost is $99 per month. You're talking $100 per month, $1,200 per year. And it will have similar benefits to a multivitamin without being exceptionally better and potentially having negative drug outcomes.
Yeah.
Whole body benefits in one scoop. Gut benefits. When people say gut benefits, the world's leading gut health specialists and researchers don't fully understand gut health. But yeah, AG1 does. Got it. I don't know. They're just throwing out numbers. And anyway, so there's an article by a guy named Derek Beres or Beeries. It's titled Health Washing. And it is a phenomenal overview of AG1 and the supplement industry as a whole. That will be linked in the show notes. But kind of the summary of AG1 is it's almost certainly not going to be superior to a multivitamin. A multivitamin costs about $3 per month. AG1 costs about $100 per month. Just eat some fucking fruits and veggies. You don't need this overpriced, shitty tasting green powder. You just don't need it. And I'm sorry if you really enjoy it. If you enjoy it and you have $100 to burn, whatever, do your thing, whatever. It doesn't it's probably not going to hurt you unless those drug interactions are something that you should be concerned about.
Yeah. I was trying to get to just their purchase page to their website is a little confusing to me.
Oh, anyway, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right. So the next number 2 on top 5 worst supplements, and these aren't necessarily in order.
Right. These are just in the order we came up with them.
Yep. Next one is colostrum. I cannot stop hearing about colostrum, and it's driving me up a wall. So for all my moms out there, you are familiar with what colostrum is, and you're probably making a face ew. What? People are eating colostrum? Drinking colostrum?
Yeah,
voluntarily.
That was definitely my reaction when I first heard about this.
Right. What the hell? So for my men out there, or just people who don't know what colostrum is, that's not male specific. But anyway,
sure.
Colostrum is the milk produced by mammary glands in the first few days of lactation after giving birth. So when we're talking about colostrum, they don't have a bunch of human women in, and just waiting outside of a birthing suite, waiting for them to have birth and then be like, hey, can we pump you? Please?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Weird. Anyway, they're using bovine colostrum. I think I'm going to sneeze. Might be going away. Yeah. They're using bovine or cow colostrum. Mm-hmm. So colostrum is very nutrient dense and it helps with the early development of digestive and immune systems. That's a plus.
Yeah.
Right. And so companies figured hey, this is nutrient dense. Let's turn it into a powder and sell it. Mm-hmm. Which honestly, how could that be the worst thing in the world?
Right.
I'm kind of with them for a moment.
Sure.
Whatever. It's not my thing, but maybe it's their thing.
Yeah.
And so why is it bad? They are making absolutely insane claims from very, very, very shaky research. And when I say shaky research, we'll kind of get into it in a minute, but you go to the websites and it's they are saying, no, the worst for me was when they don't actually make the claims, but somebody who's like an influencer, an affiliate of them will say random stuff, but then they will pay to promote that, like the company. So I saw one, there was an influencer who said, not a huge one, but tens of thousands of followers, some. She said that by taking colostrum, my hair went from platinum white to a gorgeous blonde. And they paid to promote that and put it on their page. Like, I don't want to say I'll say the brand name. It's Armra. So that was just like, fuck you guys. Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
That is despicable to like, because maybe they aren't saying it. So I'm sure there's like a little bit of, legality leeway there.
Right.
But it's just, and they make insane claims on their website. So anyway, here's the cost. Oh, Flav City, Bobby, I don't remember his name, but Flav City, holy shit. I always see commercials of him and his wife and his kids, like just dry scooping, like they have a little pouch and they just, and he says, and that's just how I take it every day. I hate his face. I hate his face so much. I cannot stand that guy. The fact that it is psychotic that he has built such a giant social media following and company based on his fear-mongering and baseless claims, especially around him going into grocery stores and pointing at random foods. So, you see this right here? You don't want to eat this, and here's why. And then he comes up with stuff that is not backed by evidence at all, and then other people will debunk his claims, and he just will block them or delete the comments.
Right.
It's just shameful. I hope that guy gets what's coming to him. Anyway, the cost for Armra Colostrum is about $36.66 per month on the low end. They encourage you to increase to 2 to 3 scoops as desired for further benefit, which would increase the cost to about $72 to $110 per month. So again, we're talking again in that same price range as the greens powder, about $100 per month. And that's just like, dude, that's ridiculous. Like that would cover a massive chunk of your grocery bill.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to something that doesn't have
the health benefits,
strong evidence behind it.
No.
If there was something that came out that was like
creatine. Creatine. Like,
right.
If
and that is so affordable comparatively.
Creatine will increase your rate of muscle. First off, is the most studied supplement on planet Earth. Second, will roughly increase rate of gains by about a third. Third, has cognitive benefits. But fourth, and most importantly, it is ridiculously cheap. As far as supplements go. So it's just yeah. Okay, so here's some notes on colostrum. So we already said that. Yeah, no, we already said that. Okay, here's a big one. Colostrum has not shown any benefits on any biomarkers of immune health in human subjects. That I feel like is a pretty definitive statement. So if you ever see a company saying like, oh, colostrum improves your immune health, that has not been shown in human subjects. Maybe they are looking at rat subjects, which is very common. But yeah, there is some evidence showing that colostrum may have some potential benefits in reducing some of the symptoms of infectious diarrhea and also possibly some improvements in symptoms of inflammatory bowel disease. However, it's just preliminary data based mostly on animal studies and small human trials. Outside of these very specific conditions, there's no current signs that colostrum has any benefit on gut health. One study showed that supplementing with 60 grams of colostrum per day might have slight benefits to strength, but this has not been shown in any additional studies.
Yeah.
It's really important to note, there was recently a study that MASS, Monthly Application in Strength Sport, covered on apple cider vinegar, and it was that apple cider vinegar drastically helped weight loss. And the participants in this study, it was ridiculous. And Eric Trexler covered it. Guy's brilliant. And I think he said something along the lines of I will give $1 million if anybody could ever replicate the results of this study, because it's not possible.
Yeah.
It's not possible. And so it's really important for you, listener, that if somebody is making a claim about a certain study, I'm not expecting you to understand the hierarchy of evidence where we're looking at anecdotal evidence is near the bottom, and then a meta-analysis of multiple studies, specifically of randomized control trials, is at the top. However, it is anytime there is one study that shows one thing, I would put on your skepticism hat and think like, okay, this is just one study. Are there other studies that are replicating these results? And again, I know a lot of people love, do your own research. I know around 2020 it was a big deal. I think I'm going to do my own research. Okay, yeah, let's do your own research.
Yeah.
You went on Google. You went on Google and read the first article from,
And honestly, because like that's tough. I am adjacent to the space. I wouldn't say I'm fully in the space, but I'm adjacent to the space. I have tried reading some study. It is hard.
So hard.
It is very, very difficult to like quote unquote do your own research.
To actually understand.
And I'm not saying like no one can do it or don't try. I'm not saying that at all. Yeah. But I think most people would benefit more from finding
reputable sources.
Yes. And then try to find a couple reputable sources and see where their overlap is. Yeah. Because even your most reputable, they might have something that they might have a bias on.
Well, and it's really easy to get into an echo chamber. So anyway, my advice would just be try to get outside of the bubble that you're in. Try to get outside of those echo chambers. It's not necessarily super, super easy, but yeah. Okay. Continuing on with colostrum, we're almost done with this one. There's no evidence that it benefits hair, sleep, skin, or nails. An important note is that any studies that have shown even a slight benefit in taking colostrum requires quite a high daily dose.
Yeah, now, I will say
this is how research goes, is they will give somebody a high dose in order to see if there's any effect, and then they kind of can like tailor that down or see, So the daily dose was 20 to 60 grams per day. And if you are using Armra Colostrum, this would mean that you're looking at about $14,000 per year on colostrum supplements to get these very slight potential benefits. Read again. If you're using Armra Colostrum and you're using what Armra is using for their research, largely in rats, then you're looking at $14,000 on colostrum supplements to get these very slight potential benefits. Yeah. If you have $14,000 to burn to get very slight potential benefits, first off, you make too much money. I mean, that's a real easy statement. You make way too much money, and you need to donate something. You need to donate that to charity. You need to go work at a soup kitchen for a minute to like get a dose of the real world. All right, that's enough on colostrum. Just greens powders, colostrum, again, like these are not dangerous. They're just overpriced. And oh God, just real quick, one thing that does when people are like, well, I was taking colostrum and I didn't get sick. But that's your anecdotal evidence. And let's say it was 3 months, let's say it was 12 months. You got lucky. You didn't that does not mean it was the colostrum. I actually had that comment on my page when I talked about supplements that I think are way overhyped. Somebody said that they didn't get sick for 3 months when they were taking colostrum. And it's like, but you don't know if you could have gone back in time, not taking colostrum and still not gotten sick. Like that is almost guaranteed what would have happened because we have no evidence in research of immune function, of improving immune function. So yeah, just like, if you're kind of debating what I'm saying and like, well, it worked for me. How do you know? Yeah. You didn't do a randomized control trial on yourself. You can't go back in time and do an A/B test on yourself. You have no idea. A lot of times, in research, a lot of times it is like vegetarian or vegan participants in studies often have better health outcomes because specifically, not because they are eating vegetarian or vegan, but specifically because they are already health-seeking individuals typically on average compared to like the rest of, the world. And so it's kind of something in the same vein here. If you are spending $100, $200 or $14,000 on supplements, you are a health-seeking individual. Yeah. So that is where we look toward randomized control trials where both the person and the researcher does not know who is the placebo and who is, the intervention group. And that is how, and then we try to repeat those studies, and then we get a meta-analysis. We do a study on all those studies, and then we get multiple meta-analyses. We get multiple research reviews. And that is when we can start to make a little bit more, maybe not even conclusive statements, but it can give us evidence to what's working, what's not, and are there any possible mechanisms of action. Anyway.
And we're also saying, like, if you really enjoy taking one of these supplements and you're not experiencing like a dangerous side effect, we're not saying you can't take it or you should absolutely stop taking it.
Right.
It's probably just like if you're looking for supplements to add, but
I
you
wouldn't do
necessarily
these. No,
look into these
I wouldn't
ones.
do these. No.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, clutch your pearls. We've got collagen. And let me say, when I started writing this outline, I was just like, what supplements am I sick of hearing about without any, without much evidence to back them?
Sure.
Collagen came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
However, when I wrote the outline, I just figured I didn't think it was harmful or anything like that. I just figured it was overpriced for the benefit. And my reasoning for that was if your protein intake is sufficient, you're getting plenty of amino acids. Protein breaks down into amino acids, for those who don't know. Collagen is a protein, but it's not a complete protein, which I'll talk about in a second, but it also has more glycine, which is thought to be a rate limiter for collagen synthesis. As we age, our muscle protein synthesis and our collagen synthesis decrease, like the rate of it decreases. Okay. What is collagen? Okay, so collagen comes from the Greek word kula, K, and then like a little O with an accent over it, LLA, and that means glue, which is a very apt name. Collagen is the most abundant protein in the body. It's a major component of your connective tissues, skin, bones, muscles, tendons, and ligaments. The collagen market valuation was estimated at $3.7 billion in 2016 and expected to increase to $6.63 billion by 2025. So how does collagen work? So it's technically an incomplete protein as it doesn't contain tryptophan, which is an amino acid, an essential amino acid. Our body can't produce it on its own. We got to get it from our diet, which means that Stuart Phillips, who's like a guy who's really big into hypertrophy research and protein and all that, he and his team gave collagen protein a protein score of 0 when it comes to muscle hypertrophy because it doesn't contain tryptophan. So don't count this in toward your total protein intake if you're looking to build muscle. Not that you're probably eating that much of it, maybe 5 to 10 grams. But anyway, we're going to continue. So skin improvements, it's seeming pretty promising that skin elasticity and hydration will experience mild to moderate improvements if you are either supplementing with creatine or getting enough, not creatine, but collagen, or just getting enough in through your diet. Bone or connective tissue, not as well researched, but potentially beneficial. A 2021 study titled, quote, "The Effects of Collagen Peptide Supplementation on Body Composition, Collagen Synthesis, and Recovery from Joint Injury and Exercise, a systematic review by Kotri and colleagues found strong evidence of collagen supplementation of 5 to 15 grams per day, improving joint pain and functionality." And this study also compared 5 grams versus 15 grams and found greater results for 15 grams. So if you are dealing with joint pain and functionality or lack of functionality, then 15 grams a day of collagen might actually be beneficial. So that, you might want to try it out. The cost is $50 for 28 days. So you need about, a little more than 1 tub per month. And we just got that from Vital Proteins. Don't feel like the brands that we're suggesting or, saying are like, this is the only brand that does this.
Right.
These are just like the brands that
you see promoted most frequently or talked about most frequently. Yeah. So some of these you can probably even find like cheaper alternatives if you really are interested in trying them.
Yeah, so here's some notes. Combine it with vitamin C. So vitamin C plays a key role in the process of collagen synthesis. Most studies use 50 milligrams of vitamin C, and actually Vital Proteins, I was looking at their nutrition label, and Vital Proteins do include vitamin C in theirs. I'm assuming most companies would because it is very well studied that vitamin C is important for collagen synthesis. So like, why would they not want their product to work better? Vitamin C is not going to be something that's super expensive to add in, so you might as well. Yeah, definitely don't count this toward protein for muscle growth. So if you are tracking it, I'm sure the calories are going to be pretty negligible, to be honest, from like 15 grams of it. Maybe fact check me on that. But yeah, either way, don't count it towards your protein goal or just increase your protein goal in an equal amount. What are we looking at here?
22 grams. Let me make sure. Yep. Collagen peptides.
Yeah, sure.
22 grams is about 80 calories.
All right. Well, it's not nothing. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, it's protein, so it's going to be 4 calories per gram. So I guess I could have figured that one out. Now, here's something that, no, hold on, let me back up. My hesitation to widely recommend collagen is that the research, it's solid. It's just do we know that, like, I don't think that we know definitively, I could be wrong on this, but I don't think that we know definitively, at least at what I found, that if somebody is increasing their protein intake, like let's say somebody's eating like 150 grams plus per day, are they getting enough glycine in to maximize their collagen synthesis? I don't know. Mm-hmm. I do not know that. And so maybe supplementing collagen, could hedge your bets a little bit. And that's the way that I would treat this. Is it might be beneficial, might not do anything extra if your protein intake is sufficient. Could be a hedge your bets kind of situation, especially if your protein intake isn't solid and as you get older, because again, collagen synthesis and muscle protein synthesis decrease as you get older. Now, it's also relatively important to note, I don't want to be like tinfoil hatty or anything like that, but a lot of research is funded by companies that sell collagen, including the study I mentioned about collagen improving joint pain and functionality. That was funded by Big Collagen, by a collagen company. But it makes sense. They're investing in their product. They have the money.
Yeah.
They are, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. They are going to be the ones that are investing in it. It's not like McDonald's is going to go throw a shitload of money at collagen research, right? Like they're going to be looking at burgers or research or, whatever. I don't know. Heart health and, the impact of eating meat and stuff like that. Anyway, so, I don't want to say like write off that research. And I do think that like funding sources can sometimes be relevant for sure. But I also think that a lot of the people out there that are like, well, who's it funded by? I cannot stand those people. I can't, because it's like, I hear you. I'm trust me, I hear you. But also the companies who have to benefit from positive research coming out, they are going to fund those studies. Like that's just the way it works.
Especially when something is, I don't want to say newer. It's not like collagen is like a brand new thing, but like the market is definitely blown up.
Blowing up. Yeah. An important note, if you're prone to kidney stones, you may not want to supplement with collagen supplements as they typically contain hydroxyproline. When the body metabolizes hydroxyproline, it's converted into oxalate, which can trigger kidney stones, specifically calcium oxalate kidney stones, which are the most common type. I do, however, think that if this were like a massive risk, we would have seen it in the research. Like,
more abundantly,
20% of people that were taking collagen ended up with kidney stones. I think we should like do something about this.
Yeah.
So, however, that said, from what I hear, kidney stones are not very fun. And so if it's like, should I take this collagen supplement at the potential risk that I have to piss a rock out of my penis?
Doesn't sound ideal.
No. Yeah. I'm going to pass on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. My skin can stay as it is. It's fine.
Yeah. I will say the skin thing, that is on my side of the world. Well, that's the thing I see it promoted for most. For sure. And when I say my side of the world for our listeners, I follow a lot of influencers, like general beauty lifestyle influencers. Right. So you'll see collagen promoted there a lot. Yeah. Not so much because of the protein, but joint
pain and functionality.
Yeah.
But yeah, and actually going through all this research, so I'm not going to say I was like anti-collagen. I just thought like, overpriced for what it might do.
Sure.
But I actually, my meter of like interest has been shifted a little bit toward the right, more toward interested in this, to the point like if you got, if we went over to Costco, they have Vital Proteins, collagen there. Yeah. I don't think there'd be any feasible way for me to test it and see if it would like benefit, because I don't know, there are way too many other factors. I am not a test tube.
The other thing is, not to interject, but the other thing is when you add a supplement, placebo is so strong.
Oh, placebo is so real.
It doesn't matter what it is. If I change one thing, I'm convinced that thing has changed my life.
Yeah. Drink 1 tablespoon of orange juice at 9 a.m. every day. And somebody's going to be like, no, this has changed my life.
Yeah. And I just think placebo is like the coolest thing in the world. Yeah. But it definitely does sway.
Yeah.
Personal anecdote when it comes especially to supplements, especially when you're spending a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
Not saying that $50 a month is one of the more extreme costs.
But it is something.
If I was taking Colostrum and I was spending
$100 or $14,000 per year on
thousands of dollars per year on it.
Yeah. You're going to become the biggest believer.
You bet I'm promoting that on my TikTok, on my Instagram. I would probably in my mind think that it changed my life.
Right. Yeah. Somebody starts going to the gym, taking colostrum. They're like, I am stronger than ever. Right. I have been starting to build muscle, and it's all thanks to colostrum. Yeah.
Yeah, just to throw that out there.
Yeah. Somebody starts taking colostrum and seeing a therapist at the same time and being like, my mental health has never been better, and it's thanks to colostrum. Your therapist is hearing that like, what? What? All right, moving on from collagen, let's start talking about fat burners. So I doubt any of these listeners have taken fat burners, but maybe. I mean, maybe. So what is it? It's a pill that has a variety of ingredients that are wrongly believed to help with fat loss. And maybe there's a bit of truth to this. I just don't think, one, they are worth the money, and two, they are potentially dangerous.
Yeah.
So how does it work? They don't. A 2021 meta-analysis by Clark and Welch found a general trend of no effectiveness. So these aren't, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think some of the general thought, or what you'll see on social media, or what you'll see people say it does, is like, because there's either like a caffeine impact. So you're either maybe moving a little bit more from your caffeine, or caffeine. I actually think we looked this up and it wasn't necessarily 100% factual, but that caffeine can be a suppressant, like a hunger suppressant.
No, I'm pretty sure that's.
I thought we like dug into this a little bit, and it wasn't as definitive as we like had originally.
Let me fact check while I start going through this. So why is it bad? These aren't going to be helpful, and they could be dangerous. So there just isn't an upside, in my opinion. The cost, we looked at First Form, again, just some random company, no disrespect to them, outside of, I don't love that they're selling fat burners, because I do think this is a relatively reputable company, but it's not just them. Legion sells one, My Protein sells one, and like actually My Protein, I don't know if they sell one. I don't actually know, because I tried looking, and maybe they got rid of it or something. I'm not sure. But anyways, First Form, the recommended go ahead.
So this is just one study that I pulled up.
Yeah. So the title is Caffeine, Coffee, and Appetite Control, a review from 2007 by Schubert and colleagues.
Yes, thank you for
citing it. You're welcome.
So it says caffeine ingested half an hour up to 4 hours before a meal may suppress acute energy intake. So minor suppressant for hunger. So I think that's one area you'll see.
I had always thought that caffeine was a hunger suppressant, so I was surprised to hear that maybe you and I saw something different. But
I think the big thing is that we just found out that it's more minor than I had originally thought. Anyway,
so First Form, the recommended dose is from 1 to 4 pills per day. And so that could range from $26-ish to $105 per month. Now, this is where it gets ridiculous. These are the instructions to take. And I think if you are thinking like, what could the instructions to take capsules be? Like, just
take them,
throw them in your mouth and swallow them with water? No, you'd be so wrong.
Yeah. You'd think at worst, maybe you have to take them with a meal.
Yeah. Let me read you the instructions. You may want to increase the speed of this part to 2 times. It's called a 1 dB overdrive. Okay. 1 dB overdrive is like nothing else you've ever taken before. Use common sense. That's the second sentence. Is use common sense. Read and follow the directions exactly as they are written. Exactly is in all caps. Everyone's tolerance will be different, and more does not equal better. Tolerance assessment phase. Test your tolerance by taking 1 capsule in the morning on an empty stomach 30 to 45 minutes before your first meal or shake. Wait 5 hours, and if suitable, you may take a second capsule on an empty stomach 30 to 45 minutes before a meal or shake to further assess tolerance. After tolerance has been determined, you may consider taking 2 capsules twice daily, 5 hours apart, with 8 ounces of water, 30 to 45 minutes before meals or shakes, and assess tolerance again. Your body uses water to flush fractured fatty acid byproducts from your system. Always take 1 dB overdrive with at least 8 ounces of water and drink at least 120 ounces of water over the course of the day. Continue to repeat the tolerance assessment phase until you've reached your personal tolerance or you have reached a maximum of 2 capsules twice daily, whichever comes first. Never exceed 2 capsules per 5-hour window or 4 capsules in any 24-hour period. Do not exceed recommended use. Do not take after 3 p.m., as the product may cause sleeplessness. If you have a sensitive stomach or the product upsets your stomach, try the tolerance assessment phase after a meal or with food instead of on an empty stomach. Cycle use of 1 dB overdrive in a 5-day on, 2 days off pattern. Use in an 8-week on, 2-week off pattern. For the best results, take 1 dB overdrive along with thyroid drive. When doing so, the two should be taken at the same time. If you have to... I mean,
that's pretty intense.
NASA's instructions to get to the moon were not that long. That is unbelievable. That is absolutely unreal. So basically these are things that it's just there are a bunch of ingredients in there. Again, some potential drug interactions that, you might want to be aware of, and I'm sure they are not, raising caution to people for those, but it's mostly just going to be caffeine, green tea extract, which caffeine, and if you take it around noon or later, you're probably going to mess up your sleep, which is way worse than any benefit that these could give. But also, maybe you could just drink a cup of coffee, have an energy drink for your caffeine.
Yeah.
And you don't need to spend this much money, but really, really would not recommend fat burners. All right. Our last of our top 5 worst supplements are BCAAs. So you may be familiar with these. These were marketed really heavily in the mid early 2000s. And I always thought it was kind of interesting. So BCAAs, these branch chain amino acids, these contain 3 amino acids: leucine, isoleucine, and valine. The problem here is that it's not all the essential amino acids. They're the ones that the body can't create on its own. So the reason it's bad is just because it's super overpriced for what it does. Just take regular protein. Whey or plant-based doesn't really matter. This isn't necessarily super expensive. It's just that it's not going to have any benefit. Genuinely, it will have no benefit outside of if you like drinking overpriced fruity water, and I'll give it to them. The flavors can taste kind of nice. They have Rocket Pop. They have blue raspberry. There's good flavors. But just have a protein shake and you'd be square. Or meet your protein intake from, Whole Foods or whatever you want to do. It doesn't really matter. But BCAAs, just don't waste your money. It's not necessarily expensive, maybe $6 for a month supply. But again, that's just $6 that you genuinely are going to get. I'm going to say basically, I don't want to say no benefit, because yes, you are getting these 3 amino acids, a little bit more, but you're going to get that from, if you have a sufficient protein intake, there's no reason to add this on. No reason. So, all right. There are just 3 honorable mentions, and these will be really quick. So 1, testosterone boosters, questionable ingredients, no evidence or very shaky evidence. Certain ingredients could interfere with medications. Mass gainers, sort of overpriced. Cheaper ways to increase calorie intake. Not bad, just kind of overpriced. And apple cider vinegar, gummies especially, extremely overhyped. The effects on blood sugar isn't specific to apple cider vinegar. Any vinegar would do this. It doesn't help with weight loss outside of it's disgusting and can make you want to eat less. That's the reality.
Yeah,
and so some of the, there's a lot of CrossFit athletes that share their golly gummy, apple cider vinegar gummies. And it's just damn, dude, I know you guys are athletes. You're not supposed to be not necessarily not supposed to be digging into the evidence, but it's I just I'm always a little bit bummed when people that I look up to, like Tia Toomey, for example, she is, or at least was, with golly. And it's ugh. These apple cider vinegar gummies are not the reason you're dominant, Tia. It's your work ethic and your genetics and your drive, and your coaching. But whatever. Somebody screen clip this and then send it to her, please. and tag golly gummies. All right. So that wraps up episode 17. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a while since we recorded an episode. Yeah. If you want to screenshot, sharing your story and tag us, your Instagram story, we love that. It makes us feel really good. It makes us feel really happy. Join the A team or Forward Forever if you want, and be on the lookout for the new one-on-one program. If you want access to the wait list, it's on my website, actually. Yeah. My wait list is on my website. So alexteamy.com or alexteamyfitness.com. We'll get you there. Okay. Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
I think that covers it.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Take care.